Hello in TV land, it's your boy Freelancer Joe. Pull this in. Ready to once again get cracking. Yes, yes. How are you all doing on this fine and wonderful and glorious, let me see, Sunday morning? Yes, that is in the AM. As you can tell by my background, I am safely returned from the undisclosed secret location, and here to once again give you some of that sweet golden content. Got back earlier this morning and already did my training, hence you can tell by my jackness. Is this pulled in close enough? Am I not? No, it's pulled in close enough. May not. Maybe the chair's a little too far back. That kind of feels like what it is. Repeatability is not a highlight of my video production skills, content creation skills. But it is a fine and wonderful, let's see, dreary Sunday morning. Yes, wonderful, wonderful, slightly warm-ish, although it kind of clashes with the Christmas decorations I'm seeing from outside my window. But yeah, it's a nice fall day. I actually just looked at, not just looked at the calendar, but I saw a calendar yesterday, and I didn't realize that winter does not officially start until much, much later than I kind of thought it would, like the end of December, which is really, really wacky. Yeah. So how y'all doing? Doing good and fine? Has your weekend been doing great? Probably should have checked to see if my Drinks with Joe episode properly uploaded. I'm pretty certain it did. Of course, while Drinks with Joe was actually Coffee with Joe, I definitely had drinks at the end of the night last night, and yet I'm feeling surprisingly spry, all things considered. Um, I'm pretty certain that'll catch up with me eventually. So maybe my body's just being tricked right now, but by the post-training endorphins. So we shall see. We shall see. Um, um, yeah, it's still early. I guess maybe all the brain cells haven't fully fired up yet, which is not a good thing considering I drove here. But I guess I didn't need the higher level brain cells, maybe. Unfortunately, the rampant idiocy was not so bad on the road this morning, at least in comparison to. Okay, why is this? Oh, I know why. When escape. All right, now let's try that. Let's try that. I'm afraid. Yeah, try that one again. There we go. Okay. I thought I might have to actually close cheese to get it going. It's doing the record video now because I'm going to try to see if maybe the recording version of cheese is actually less prone to the freezing. Who knows? Who knows? So while I'm setting this up, I'm definitely asking you how y'all doing. I already asked that, didn't I? Oh, like I said, brain cells still not fully, entirely, completely functioning. But we are. If I did I not? Pretty soon I said always on top. We shall see. Another verbal tick. Ooh, no, that's not good. Yeah. Trying to save some of the juicy stuff to talk about on Idle Banter. Considering right now we still have some useful things we can be talking about, actually related to what I should be working on. Demo. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's the end of the month. I should be getting my Amazon bill soon for my AWS access. Should be okay. All right. Wait. Fetch util throwing. Ooh, that was a good one. I had forgotten about this when I was talking about episode Drinks with Joe, and I did the weekly review. I forgot this is actually the error we stopped on. Uh, but let's bring up Firefox also while we are at it. And while that's coming up, let's go ahead and change to the correct directory, if it will let me. There is something to be said for me having all this set up before I actually start recording. For productivity's sake, to give you the most technical value, viewing value, bang for the buck, I really should have everything set up. But for the just trying to pad the episodes for 30 minutes, proposition value, bang for the buck, it makes more sense to drag things out. Plus, it gives me time to sharpen and hone my skills with the idle banter and chit-chatting. Which, as any of my loyal and religious viewers religiously following viewers, because you can still be religious and not religiously follow, can testify to, my verbal agility is not the best. It can be pretty sharp sometimes, but consistently sharp for 30 minutes, a little trickier. It's hard to be charming for more than 5 minutes. I could blame that on my introverted nature. I mean, that's a pretty solid reason. It is what it is. That was my other verbal tick. It is what it is. It is what it is. We shall see. Again, the sorts of things I'm trying to wean myself off of using. Over-reliance on those types of things. Poor crutches. Poor crutches indeed. And I certainly hope I am projecting loud enough. This seems like that's too much of a bar. Taking up too much of the prime real estate. Come on. Come on. Close enough. Alright. Seems to be running a little slow this morning. I don't have anything else really running in the background, I don't think. Okay, there we go. Compiled successfully. And we are up. Okay. And calendar. Now, that thing kind of reminded me the issue I had. Hard-coded error message. That's what it was. Okay. Right. So why is it throwing an error to begin with? Oh, that's an interesting question. I know why it's doing this. Who is this? Oh, because I hard-coded it out. Okay. So I am passing it an invalid value, and my lambda is checking that value and correctly saying, hey, this is an invalid value. And it's responding with an error code of 400. Now, my fetchUtil class, now I thought my fetchUtil utility class is the one that's responsible for processing that. Okay. And it correctly says, hey, there's an error. That's cool. But then my AWS manager, when it gets that error pushed back up to it, does not correctly set it. Or miraculously, the format that my fetchUtility class, the message format it's using, is not what my manager is expecting. So it should be more or less of this particular format, because I know these work. But it's actually responding with what is it throwing? Well, Now, is that the actual issue, or is it, or is it because it's expecting an array? Now I have to kind of pick the pieces back up, because I know I would get these errors, and I seem to recall that was fine. If error.has on property message, error message, else error. And my fetch utility class, when it creates the message, new error message. I'm trying to think if maybe that's, I mean, that should specify the message. I'm wondering if it's just how I'm handling the error messages in general. Or is it because show snack bar? Oh, that's what it is. Show snack bar. Okay, so I went through that entire spiel, but actually, and I say actually now, snack bar is expecting, it's expecting a string, and whenever I was getting an error, I was throwing that into, an array, and snack bar is expecting a string. So I probably, now the question is, what is the best way? The obvious one is simply just to go ahead and pass it as string. But the real question here is this line of code. Basically, I'm saying let the error message, well, if the error that this manager receives has a property called message, we'll let error message equal that. Otherwise, we'll let it equal the error itself. And the error itself can have lots of useful information. But when I store that into the state, that's not so good. So instead of doing that, what we're going to do, instead of passing the entire error back up, if the error does not have a property called message, we're just going to say, we'll consider it an unexpected error. Unexpected. Is that a word? Unexpected error. No attached message. And it's not going to do much good for a user to see this, but hopefully a user is not going to see that particular one. And so if it doesn't have that, which presumably for whatever reason, it really looks like this. I mean, honestly, it looks like this guy actually should have been setting it correctly because he's doing it the same way that the utility class does it. How it creates an error. It basically says, construct a new error with a string property, which is exactly what this does. Unless it's somewhere deeper. Invalid HTTP response code, okay. Okay, if the response, that is a valid thing. That's a valid thing. If not response, okay. I mean, all of that looks like it should throw an error with a message. So that's very odd, in my opinion. Okay, so now we will do that, and instead of dispatching that, we'll dispatch with the error message. ERRMSG. And let's see how that goes. Now, it's still going to show an error when it loads up, which is fine. But I want to see it. Well, I'm not sure what it's going to show. Unexpected error, no attached message. Alright. Web console. So that's still bugging me. Because, get it? The bug is bugging me. Even if my brain cells aren't fully firing, I can still make bad jokes. Finishing access data, unexpected error. Alright, what I want to look at is, because I log the error in the manager. AWS access fail. This is the error. So who throws this? Checking response for invalid HTTP response code. Response is 400. Checking response, invalid HTTP response code, which is right here. We got a 408. Okay, this is why. So the 400 isn't, I'm not checking the 400. That's why. What? And does the response have a message? Response has status text bad request. Okay. So we'll just throw a new error, which is funny. So that's what happened. So if response.status and response.status equals 400, was it 400? Response.status 400. Bad request. Bad request. Right now it's happening because of invalid parameters, so we will assume it's invalid parameters. That's what I expect should properly happen. Bad request. Invalid parameters. Okay. That's fine. And now if I make it valid again, with what it should be happening, or the parameters I am passing, it should work. And the other thing I'm going to want to check is if it passes the fetch utility but does not pass my particular with the format of the response I'm expecting back. So there's really kind of like two layers to it, right? You've got your normal REST HTTP standards about responses and status codes and whatnot. And then there's how your application is expecting the data to come back to it. All right, calendar. All right, and so the events properly came up. That is good. And so now we're going to purposefully muck this. I expect message, so let's replace this with derp. So what I expect to happen now is when it reloads, the snack bar will appear again, and it's going to say response does now have expected message property. That is what I am expecting. Response did not have expected message property. Excellent. Excellent. Alright, good, good. And we make one more change to change it back to the way it was. The way we were. Magnificent voice. Not much else. Well, apparently she was also a good actress too, I guess. I never saw Yentl, so I don't know. She was in other stuff too, right? I don't know. Double check one more time to make sure it comes up correctly. Alright, so no issue there, which is fine. We go here. And alright, it's December. We go back. Those. Alright, okay, alright, excellent. So the one thing I did want to add, which I remembered that I should be adding, was I wanted to add like a little loading icon while it's actually loading. And Material UI, fortunately, has many, many sweet components for that sort of thing. And the one I'm thinking about is, okay, I don't remember the name for it. I'm sure I'll see it. No, not tooltips. It's okay, alphabetically. App bar, blah 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 blah. Okay, I know it's a demo one, but backdrop, bottom. Now I have to go to the actual components. Not circular progress. This is one of them. Import circular progress. This is how you use it. Properties. Where's the demo? Progress. Progress. Progress indicators inform users about the status of ongoing processes, obviously. So we've got the circular one, which is pretty nice. So let's say we click on that. We got that. That's nice. So we can have a static one. We can have one that's kind of determinate based on the progress. That's a little trickier because basically what you do is you fire off a request to an API, right? And then you intermittently either pull the API or the API will send a message back saying what the progress is, and then you update the progress component. It's kind of useful, but it gets to be a lot like, you know, the Windows things where it could potentially freeze and your user's like, is something happening or is it really frozen? Who knows? Alright, so we can either do circular static or linear. And there are two ways we can do it. Instead of rendering the calendar, we could render the progress component. Alright, or we could render the progress component above or below the calendar. Or we could have like a popover that contains the progress thing that blocks out the calendar until it's complete. As a general rule, I personally don't like popovers, so I would steer away from that. And as for having the progress thing like in a different location other than the component it's supposed to be indicating the progress for, I'm not cool with that because it's kind of confusing to the users. So at least as far as I'm concerned, it's best just to not render the component while it's loading. So having said that, that's my particular plan. Then the question is, do we want a circular progress component or the linear progress component? Um, I'm sure there are UI guidelines about which is best. Uh, at least my personal tastes, you would generally use a circular progress bar for like a small component, a small piece, like how you see here, right? It's on the button or it's next to this icon, which is cool. Um, but that would have to be a big circular component for this entire calendar. So for this one, I would probably go with linear. The caveat being that and the other, not necessarily the other caveat, but also the formatting on circular progress can be a little bit funky. So all right, for now, we are just going to see if we can get a linear progress thing in there. So we've got linear progress. We have to import it, as with any component. Oh, I'm gonna have to clean these up at some point. And for now, we're just gonna render it. We'll tie it in later. You want primary or secondary colors? We'll stick with primary for now. Linear progress. Let's look at the view. Alright, so I have one div. We'll put it right below this. I'm hoping that, is this layout flex or is this layout, it's probably flex, but is it column or row? Root is column. Okay, so it should display basically right below calendar. I don't know about the width though. I might have to specify width. We'll see. Verbal take again. I have to come up with multiple ones for we'll see. We shall see. Thou shalt seeth, perhaps. Calendar. Alright, well, it didn't come up. Alright. I suspect it's actually there, to be honest. But the width isn't right. There we go. There we go. Ah, look at that. I thought this thing would work better, but it didn't. Let's try and fix this real quick. WITTH 100%. There we go. Alright, well, at least we got it displayed, but we are about at the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to wrap this up for now. Cool kid words about liking and subscribing, commenting, and suggesting. On the next episode, we'll get this rendered correctly, for one, and then we're going to tie it into the application state to dynamically render when it's actually loading, and to disappear when it's not loading. But until then, and I hope you will join me then, which is next time. Until then, I hope that you take care and God bless.